Fine. So yesterday we discussed the ways in which Moshe, or maybe the story of the Jewish people, is hinted at too in the beginning of Mishpatim. But as I noted, there's a second level of allusions that appear in Mishpatim, and those are allusions to the Yosef story. So here, for example, right, it starts really right off the bat, where the first law that we have in Mishpatim is Ki Tikneh Eved Ivri, and the only person in Tanakh who's actually named in Chumash, who's named as an Eved Ivri is Yosef, right? Sheishanim Yavod Uvashvi.
What's Eved Ivri mean?
A Jewish slave, right, or a Hebrew slave, really. Vashvi Yitzei L'Chavshi Chinam. Now, obviously, with Yosef, you have the interesting thing, right? That the rest of the parsha, potentially applies, right? His master does give him a wife. Well, not really. The king gives him a wife, right? Which is after he's a slave, right? And much of the challenge of Yosef's life is figuring out, does he love his new master, right? Not necessarily, right, Potiphar, but Paro, right? But that's, I think, a bit more drashy. But it's definitely the case, right, that he is the first Eved Ivri. But things become a bit clearer when you go on, right, and then you start getting discussions of Vigonev Ishu Mecharov Nimtzav Yado Mos Yumas, right, if someone is kidnapped, so then he'll be put to death. Now you also get a lot, it's not just Yosef, really I should be more precise, it's not just Yosef, you get a lot of Yaakov and Yosef imagery. So you get here in Chaf Aleph, Pasuk Chaf Aleph, V'chi yazid ish al re'eu l'argo v'armam is v'chi tikachenu lamus. Actually, sorry, I should go back a Pasuk. Makeh ish v'meis mos yumas. If someone murders someone, then he dies. V'asher lo tzada. But if he's not planning, right? V'elohim mina liyado, and God caused it to happen. Now, those words should indicate something to you, because Asher Lo Tzada is Yaakov Esav language, right? Tzayid Befiv, right? Esav is Yodei Tzayid, right? And if he does plan to kill him, so then he gets put to death. Now, Rai Foreman notes here that if you just look at those psukim, you get a heavy concentration of Yaakov Esav language, because V'chi yazid can either mean intention, or what else does it mean? Right, how does the Yaakov and Esav story start?
Where he grabbed him by the heel.
No, well, right after that. He offered him Nizid Adashim. Right? Nizid Adashim. Right? And that was what caused him, right, that sold the Bechor and set in motion what?
Yaakov to run away.
Yaakov running away, but why?
Esav wanted to kill him.
Because Esav wanted to kill him. Right? And Ray Foreman reads this as saying, this is sort of a what if. Right? Meaning, if Esav had been successful, right, sort of alluding to that story, if he's intending to kill him, right, now, the image in the background is the Nizid Adashim, that's what set the ball rolling, but if he had wanted to, because that's the paradigmatic case of what? Of premeditated murder,
yeah. So
then, right, then we would kill him. But then he says, Vasher lo tzada, right? This is, right, sort of a drash on that story. Vasher lo tzada. And if he didn't intend, but what does that literally mean, the rest of Chumash? But think about the language. Vasher lo tzada. And if he wasn't a hunter, right? I mean, Esav is Yodei Tzayid, right? He's the hunter. So Yaakov is, Memela,
the victim?
The lo tzada. He's the non-hunter, right? Esav, right? Right? And God made it happen. Then I'll give him a place to flee. He says at some level the allusions are sort of hinting at the fact that if the person who is not tzad, right, meaning the person who didn't intend to do whatever crime he did, right, instead it was God who who made it happen, which is sort of what happens with the stealing of the bracha, right? He didn't really plan, it just sort of fell into place. Then I'll give him a place to flee away, because the next pasuk is because if there's someone who intends to kill him, right, so then he would be killed, right? Now again, it's not like a strict, right, these are illusions. No, it's not perfect, it's illusions, right? It's illusions. And that's really the key, right? That these aren't strict parallels. What they're doing is they might be commenting a little bit, right? Meaning, by using Yaakov Esav language, they're giving you a picture of what would a real premeditated murder look like. It would look like what Esav tried to do, but didn't successfully do to Yaakov. Now instead, right, he escapes because he runs away, right? And then you also get this language of Yosef, right, thrown in. You have this Eved Evri, you have the notion of someone who's kidnapped, so then he gets killed. Now, in the newer Aleph Beta series on Mishpatim this week, right, they suggest that the kidnapping is followed by the mitzvah of Mikalel Aviv Imo Mot Yumat, right? If you curse your parents, then you die. Because at some level, right, the reason that Yosef gets kidnapped...
Does he curse his parents?
No, it's not because he curses his parents, right? But the real crime wasn't against Yosef. It was because the brothers were upset at Yaakov...
Who liked Yosef more.
Who liked Yosef more, or liked Rachel more, or whatever, right? That whole family situation, right? At some level, sometimes that is, right? That those are related, right? You kidnap someone not because of what you want to do to them, but because of some
issue with the father,
right? Some objection to the family structure, right? And then you get more discussions of avadim and fighting, etc. Again, none of these parallels are necessarily absolute. The point is, and again, I don't necessarily have firm conclusions on it, but the Torah does seem to try to be alluding to different stories. Part of it might just be poetic. Part of it may be to give you sort of an idea of what certain mitzvah would look like in practice, right? And certain of them may be in hidden ways commenting on earlier stories. How exactly that works is something you've gotta look through. Again, I don't want to sort of close it off, but again, that's just something I think is worth keeping your eye open for in legal passages, which is when are they either very explicitly or in some more muted allusions invoking memories from stories that shed light either on the stories that are being invoked or on the laws that they're commenting on. So that's just some thoughts. Again, not firm thoughts, but the beginning of thoughts.